Hello, everyone.
What's
Hey man,
up?
how you guys doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing very well this beautiful day.
Yeah, yep. Great weekend. Great weekend. Man. And Zach, gotta give you big thanks for things you've done in our country. We know you're a veteran, and we definitely appreciate all the things you've done.
Well, thank you.
All right,
Yes,
all right.
Uh, Along with all of the other service members out there. So much appreciated.
absolutely. All right, let's get to the show, gentlemen. Here we go.
Yes, sir. All righty. Got a nice, flashy new logo. It's my first 411 Sportsworld logo.
All right.
There you go, Zach. Yes, sir. That's he's Zach over in the far right. My sports brother in the middle, Eric Hightower, my brother. And so we're gonna talk sports. We're gonna talk basketball today. Eric, you can give us a brief intro of who you are. I know you've been on a couple episodes, but there may be a couple people this weekend who's at home relaxing, getting ready to eat on some, chop down some ribs and some grilled chicken and some burgers and dogs, and they were like, "Who's this guy right here, man?" So tell everybody who you are.
Thanks for reminding me what I need to be eating today. Yeah,
Amen.
be careful. But hey, glad to be with you guys again today. And what a wonderful day. Um, I don't think we've talked, or at least I haven't talked with y'all since the Warriors won. And then I think we're all excited about this next basketball season, and we're gonna be even more excited because the trades, there aren't none. The draft may be, but the trades are still up there. So looking for an exciting next basketball season as always, and as I always say, good entertainment. Good entertainment.
Yes, sir. And E, what's your basketball background?
Oh man, my basketball background varies. If you want to talk about from high school to college to uh, hosting my own basketball camps, as well as participating and just staying abreast with uh, the things that's happening right now. I'm just I think I'm a budgeting fan with the Atlanta Hawks. I think because I'm kind of basically semi-retired in my mind with
Okay.
basketball, being active. Um, the Atlanta Hawks have been, for the last year and a half, I think, a part of my ongoing entertainment. As for my
Yes, sir.
basketball, just briefly, I played basketball at probably the premier high school in America as for basketball. And I say that because I played at one of the largest high schools in America at Southwest High School, and then went on, of course, to play basketball at Georgia Southern, where I was the leading scorer, captain of the team, and had several
All
records
right.
there for a minute. Also, a very brief stint in the CBA, which was a CBA at that time, the
Hmm.
same CBA that Isaiah Thomas purchased many years ago. So I guess to make it short, I had a good time. I saw a lot of things playing basketball. Um, it opened up my mind to the world because the basketball is the world, even more so as we address it with the NBA, the
Hmm.
expansion of basketball. And it's just a wonderful thing for over the last 30 years to see how the NBA basketball has expanded. And from where the way we used to play, as you would say, old school players to and I mean it's exciting. It's good entertainment, and I just want to say I'm so proud of these guys. The way the players have a lot of power and control of what they do, and some of the great things that they are doing, and it's really good, and it's ever evolving, it's ever changing, and that is what enhances. Uh, this brand of basketball that we see today.
Yeah. And also in the NCAA, NC2A, did you play in a significant game? Do you want to talk about that just for briefly?
Well, I heard you say NC2A.
Well, the NCAA, right?
Yeah, NCA Division One, Georgia Southern.
Okay, there you go.
I led them to their first ever NCAA appearance, and that was what it was their first year at NCAA and Division One. And boy, yeah, I played against the Georgias. As I said, I think I probably said before that the year that they went to the Final Four and they just did beat us by 1 point with turnaround jump shot.
Wow.
Played against several Southeastern Conference teams, others, Ole Miss. Had opportunity to play with some of the best players, even in the NBA. And when I say some of the best players, and you know, I like to think about these guys, they were very smart, heady players. As we have those today, of course, there will always be. But played against every time I look at Arkansas play, I think about that floor in Arkansas in which I hit a last second jump shot that propelled Georgia Southern to its first ever NCAA tournament in Dayton, Ohio. And that was a real, I guess you would say, people would say, real surreal moment. Hitting the jump shot to propel your team to an NCAA tournament and breaking the nation's second longest winning streak at that time. That was against Arkansas Little Rock, former team of Derek Fisher. Also had the opportunity to play against Sam Mitchell, who I was a wiry
from Columbus, Georgia.
Right. I was a wiry 6'3" frame, and Sam Mitchell 6'7". And what a lot of people don't know is Sam Mitchell was a prolific scorer in college, averaging around 27 points a game. And then basketball camps, playing Glenn Rivers, playing against guys like Derek Harper back in the day, and having an opportunity to talk with Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, not only at high school, but then as we traveled, because everybody traveled commercial flights then, and a host of NBA players, Larry Bird talking with him and talking to guys like M.L. Carr, defensive specialists and world champions, Kevin McHale, Nate Archibald was still playing at that time. We would see those guys in the airport, and we would just gather so much knowledge from them commercial flights. Now, you know, most of the teams have private jets and what have you. But, I mean, you can't ever discount the old school because there's so much knowledge that you can get from those guys that are willing to talk to you, and you're sitting right by their side, you know, waiting for your flight to take off. And the way, again, the evolution of not only the players, but the way that you could talk to them in person. Of course, they have Twitter now, but you know, it's almost like picking up the telephone. I tell my buddies, you know, man, we can do FaceTime with this. We can tweet. We can TikTok, whatever we do. But just being able to see, touch, and feel, you know, that we see everybody, players, entertainers. And again, I use that word entertainment a lot because in America, this is what we do. We entertain. 4th of July tomorrow. It's going to be an entertaining day for many people, right? We just celebrated Juneteenth, right? Entertainment, right? Yeah. And it will always be entertaining, whether it's old school or new school, but just being able to touch those people and talk with them, have an opportunity to, I can remember being in Sarasota, in which the CBA team that picked up me, and seeing Dick Vitale, you know, he's from Sarasota, and we would go to basketball practice, and you know, we come back across the bridge from the Sarasota Yacht Club to the condominiums where we were staying, and the CBA team. Again, we know that that league is defunct, uh, but the way we see the G League, the D League, and right up the road, only maybe about 50, 60 miles from here, you can see some of the best up and coming players, some which were drafted in the NBA this year. Whereas, back in the day, and we were in Georgia, but I had to go to Florida to a semi-pro team. Now you can go 25 or 50 miles up the road. And not only you can see, again, some of the guys that got drafted this year out of the G League, and you can get good entertainment. And these guys are high school players. Some are making upwards over $500,000 a year to $100,000 a year, getting their education paid for and preparing for the NBA. It's an amazing, incredible journey, and it's part of what keeps me close to basketball now, and what makes it so entertaining.
Absolutely.
I didn't believe a guy like Stephen Curry in 2015 could continue to shoot that way, because we've never seen anyone that can shoot the basketball. However, he changed the game. He changed the game, and you have to put him. I don't want to start talking about something else right now, but you have to put him. We'll talk about that number later, I guess. This show.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that
in a different category, because he changed the game just the way Wilt Chamberlain changed the game when the 3-point. The 3-point lane had to be changed.
The lane line.
Tiger Woods changed the golf course in Augusta. He's a game changer, and there's so many aspects, and the things that the NBA teams are doing, and the way and the marketing. The Atlanta Hawks, July 16th, I think it is, having again, and they do this annually, feed 1 million people in Atlanta. Some of the people, season ticket holders, are able to come and work some of that program, and to be right there with the Hawk players, to be right there doing something, big time for a city, the giving back, and the marketing of the professional sports now is just so different. But it's exciting, it's good, it's fun, it's ever changing, and it mimics life in general. When we talk about sports, we talk about American culture, we talk about history of all people. And that's so great that we see the first guy from France, the first guy from Yugoslavia play, the first guy from Italy, the first guy from New Zealand, the 10th guy from China. And with a helmet, right? You get to see the players and touch the players, and the big arenas that they have, just ever expanding. And I guess I can just go on and on. I'm not a spokesman for the NBA, but yeah, basketball has played a large part of my life. It's part of my education, via scholarship to go to college, or education of my travels. I've been able to travel to different countries due to the fact of basketball, see different things, and learn the education that you can't learn out of any book that you can read. Because again, I've had the opportunity to not only touch these guys, but go into other countries on the continent of Africa to play basketball, seeing the world, seeing Rome, Italy, seeing Australia, just going to different continents and different countries and seeing other cultures, and to see the development of, again, not only basketball, but the way basketball just bleeds into the culture of different places. And then think about how it was 40, 50, 60 years ago. Also had the opportunity to meet Earl Lloyd's son. Earl Lloyd, the first African-American to play in the NBA. I know his son personally.
Wow.
and had the opportunity to see some of the 1950 memorabilia that he left his son. Lloyd only passed away a few years ago, but uh, just the people that you meet
Yes, sir.
have so much history, and I can't even think right offhand. But one of the most exciting times that I had was the opportunity of meeting uh, Earl Lloyd's son, who we
Mhm.
always joke about. If he were ever to see this, he'll say, "Why you talking about me, man? Couldn't play basketball a lick." But his dad, but his
But
daddy, his dad was the first African American to play in the NBA. Now that's not some history. And to
yeah,
see some of his basketball or jersey or shoes that he wore, man, I mean, you can look these people up and like, oh my goodness, that was 1957. That was 1960. Amazing. All the way
yeah.
to seeing Larry Bird. We didn't bump fists then. It was high five.
Uh-oh.
But to be
Uh-oh.
able to touch these
Yes, I remember those
and
days.
talk,
The high,
talk to those guys.
yeah. The high
Yeah,
five, then the low
Well,
five,
yes.
Yeah.
amazing.
Very
Amazing.
good. That's very good. Very good. But see, and we appreciate you being on because you're a wealth of knowledge and the information that you just shared just now. I mean, that is historic stuff. A young athlete that's listening to this, you giving the broader picture, and showing that, hey, there's a lot that can come from the game. And so, but today we're gonna go ahead and talk about the sport that you love and a lot of us love, the NBA. And welcome to the show, everybody. And we're going to jump in and talk about the free agency. And so, with that said, we're going to go ahead and jump right into NBA free agency. We're going to talk about the first player up on the board is Kevin Durant. Okay, Kevin Durant. We talked about this on part one, Zach. We touched on Kevin Durant, but obviously Kevin Durant asked for a trade. He demanded to get away from Brooklyn for whatever reasons. We're certain that some of that has to do with Kyrie. But let's talk about Durant and where we think he's going to land.
Okay. Uh,
Go ahead, Zach.
I get. I just like I said earlier, he's under contract for 4 years, and I was kind of looking before the show. Wojnarowski sent out a thing that the Nets are willing to wait for the right deal, and part of it came up. What and I'll speak on this a little bit later. But what Minnesota gave up to get Rudy Gobert, and Rudy Gobert, probably most people saying half the player that Durant is. So they're looking to, per Wojnarowski, to get an all-star back and picks. And that means uh, the Suns and Miami are going to be at a disadvantage. So I'm not sure where he's going to go. I kind of told you I like Minnesota and them getting back Anthony Edwards. And I guess if you get back, because you probably have to include Russell in that, he's a one-time all-star, so I don't necessarily count that, but I like Edwards. I am not giving up. I just you control Kevin Durant. I'd be willing to tell Kevin Durant, you're 34. If you don't want to play basketball no more, I'm good with you not playing basketball no more. But you gonna play for us, or we gonna trade you for what we want, or we not trade you. And that's it. So I can't tell you the trade right now. I
Yeah.
can only tell you that they need to maximize what they get, because I think regardless of what you think of Durant, he's at least a top 5 player.
Oh,
You
without
need
a doubt.
if I think you should be able to get back a all NBA guy,
Mm-hmm.
but like I'll send his ass to Utah for Donovan Mitchell. If like I'm willing to send him anywhere and see if he don't want to collect his $40 million a year.
Yeah, I like what you're saying there, Zach. You're looking at what you're wanting is the Brooklyn Nets to come back with a player that is established star, at least an established all-star level
You
player.
have to.
And yeah, some of those names you mentioned are some good names that can carry on the organization. I want to touch on this too, real quick, Zach. Um, about what you said about Kevin Durant and Brooklyn. Hey, they got 4 more years on him with as far as contract goes. You remember and you know this, Zach. You know how big of a Laker fan I am, and the Kobe Bryant fans as well. Uh, but you
I,
remember back when Kobe was saying, "Hey, I want to leave. I want to go
of
to the
course.
Clippers." And you remember the conversations that we had, and what you said was like the Lakers should say no and cut it off right then and
I
there.
I said as soon as he walked in Mr. Bus office, get out. Like
Yeah,
you just can't like some dudes like Kyrie Irving. I'll give up and I'll take back with like Kevin Durant is too talented. He's too good. Like
yeah,
for as good as these NBA guys are, and I like what Eric was saying. Like if you a basketball player, and you know I'm a football guy, but I will say this: basketball players are talented. If you a basketball player, you are highly skilled and you are good, especially if you're in the NBA. Like
right.
that ain't about athleticism. That's about them dudes have talent. And Kevin Durant has separated himself from even those guys. No, you just it's too big of a decision as an organization. That's why they get paid what they get paid. And I would tell you, basketball players are underpaid because of salary cap. No, I would refuse. He just I would pay his ass to sit home for 4 years before I would give
Yeah.
him away for and kind of what you said, DeAndre Aiden or what was some other thing. They like for the Atlanta, and I like John Collins. Hell
Yeah.
no. I ain't waking up saying I gave up Kevin Durant for them dudes. No.
All right. What about you, E?
No, I agree with everything you just said, all the sentiments right there, right? And from an owner's perspective, again, I want to go back to sports, basketball. It shows life, it shows society, it shows culture. And listen at this right here. Just because you can abuse a player as an owner, should you? Just because a player can abuse a team, right? And its owner, should you? The day's world that we live in, Zach, just like you just said, well, he would sit down like John Wall sat down for whatever reason, John,
Amen.
before I
Amen.
get a lesser player. But then you think, who else can play on that top five players caliber, his level?
Mhm.
But then again, it's something you have think about because everybody's talking, where's he going to go? What is he going to do? And I hadn't really heard that much about him. It just happened the other day, and I hadn't had time to really digest all this other than the news flash. But I heard, right down the street, he may want to go. One of his choices was Miami. Do you think that Pat Riley would put up with this crap? Do you think Udonis Haslem would put up with this crap? Do you think Spolster he can't go to Miami unless Jimmy Butler will be jumping on him too? And Durant is a crybaby. Just say he's top 1-2 player. He's a crybaby. He goes back and forth on Twitter. He argues with people. I guarantee you, I don't pick fights. I guarantee you, either three of us could go on Twitter right now and say something, and we could get his attention.
That's
you
true.
know, and come on, dude, grow up a little bit, get a little bit more maturity about you, get a little bit more maturity about you. I would say the same thing about Kyrie. Durant can change the dynamic, and you can win a championship with him, and you could do it with less than what you could do it with. You would have to have more with Kyrie. So Kyrie would be easier out of the door for me.
Yep. Well, shout out to Spivey. Shout out to Spivey there with the comment there. Great show, guys. He's
Thank
supporting
you,
our show.
Mr. Spivey.
Really appreciate him. And Spivey, give us your thoughts on where you think Kevin Durant should end up. And also, the next person we're about to talk about is DeAndre Ayton, Phoenix Suns. Obviously, over the past season has not granted him an extension, and it looks like they want to move him on. So, where do you think he should go, E? Where do you think DeAndre Ayton should end up?
I would like to see DeAndre Ayton he could go to Chicago as far as I'm concerned. He could go to New York. He could even come to Atlanta and he would help the Hawks. He could help Dallas, even though I think they got somebody else. But this is what I have to say about DeAndre Ayton. I think Phoenix is doing him a disservice. I think the way they have treated him. not only this season, but the season before. Okay, so he had a bad game series against the Milwaukee Bucks. He's still young. And I have one thing to say. Pay that man his money. Pay that man his money. But there are several places that Ayton can go and help. But that man should have been paid his money last year.
All right. What about you, Zach?
If I was Aiden and I kind of go all of these guys, and you have to do that balance. I think like when Anthony Davis took the money from the Lakers, and when he took the money, I kind of saw that as being concerning, only because Anthony Davis is so great. Why would he need to lock himself into a long-term contract unless he thought he was going to get injured? I It's a risk, but if I was Aiden team, since he's an unrestricted free agent, I'd sign the qualifying offer from the Suns and I play it out for a year. I guess it's possible they could try to tank his value or send him somewhere, but I would want to be an unrestricted free agent because you and I have talked about this, Mr. 4-1. He's not a bad player. Now,
right.
Can he be the best player on a championship team? I'm not sure of that, but I think he's good enough that he should be getting 25 plus million. And I'm kind of like, I'd like to know what went wrong. Like I'm with Eric. Did he have some moments against the Bucks or whatever? He's going up against Giannis.
Right.
It ain't like he was going up against me. He's going up against the best player or a top 3 guy in the NBA that is a great offensive and defensive. Giannis does that to a lot of people. That makes you not want to pay the guy. Now, if you don't want to pay him $30 million for whatever reason, and I think you've been on that, if his usage rate was higher, he would be higher. But
yeah, it would be.
His team, I think, play this year out if you can. Go get your big payday the next year, and Phoenix should have a good squad. Come back. As I said, it's a risk. But has Aiden had any? I don't think Aiden has had any serious injury issues, has he?
Not to my knowledge. Not anything serious, no.
And I like him. Now, there always can be things behind the scenes. Maybe he's got a little Kyrie in him, but I don't think I've seen that. But who knows? And I feel like justice. I'm like with Eric. I feel like justice isn't sent out equally on Phoenix because Monty Williams was getting on his ass, and I don't know if Aiden was the total problem for them.
Yeah. I don't think he was a total problem. I mean, I think he's a solid piece to have. Well, I don't know where all this really came from, but I mean, he's averaging 17 and 10, and he's haven't even scratched the surface, to be honest with you. And he was their number one pick. So it's dicey, but I mean, it looks like they got a relationship that's going to be hard to mend back together. A place I think he can land. You know, obviously we're gonna say Atlanta too, but I think Indiana, because Indiana is looking to they already moved my guy Sabonis, and then they're looking to move Miles Turner. So there's gonna be a gaping hole up front, and that looks like a place where he could land, you know, in my opinion, now more realistic. But the next guy we're talking about.
Well, before you go, I would just ask what has Clint Capella done to you? Because first you're trying to move Clint Capella for Rudy Gobert. Now you're trying to move for Aiden. I keep thinking Clint Capella is solid, but you keep trying to move him out of Atlanta.
Well, yeah, I know. I keep moving him, but I mean, Capella is a solid player. I mean, he was even when the Hawks picked him up. I was on board with that. But Rudy Gobert to me is a better defensive player. You know, when you have Trae Young and you know you have a smallish guard, you know, I kind of go back to the Allen Iverson situation when he was in Philly and they surrounded him with defensive players. Look at Mutombo, right? I would take Mutombo, Gobert, you know, different eras but similar type of impact defensively. Like I think he would make up for a lot of deficiencies on the defensive end. You know. As far as picking up Gobert, more so than Capella. Offensively, Capella's better, but I just think that, you know, you have a all-NBA defensive player in Gobert coming in, which is now water under the bridge because he's in Minnesota now. But that's why I was looking at that. And then Ayton, you have the younger upside guy at this point. So that's kind of like what I'm looking at more. So it's not that I don't like Capella. Okay. I mean, we'll see what he does, you know, in the upcoming season. Because look, he'll be in Atlanta. All right, but who else coming to Atlanta is DeJounte Murray, the guard from San Antonio. And so, what are your thoughts on that, Mr. E?
I think it's a good move. It's a good move because you see Atlanta doing something. They're trying to do something. And on top of doing something, they're doing something to complement their all-star future Hall of Fame guard Trey Young as he matures. This guy Murray, I think 26 years old, I think, averaged something like 21 points,
Mm-hmm.
8 rebounds, 9 assists. Pretty good, solid defender.
Mm-hmm.
Only 6'4", but it's okay. I think that was a good move by the Hawks. And did they trade Gallinari? I think Gallinari, who
Mm-hmm.
wound up being in Boston. I think it's
Right.
good for both teams, but definitely good for the Hawks. I think we have two um, players right there still learning the game, but they already have numbers that qualifies them for the new age basketball play. 20 points, 25 points, 8, 9 assists, 7 to 8 rebounds. Um, and I think it was a good move for the Hawks. Uh, it definitely improved the backcourt, and I think it's going to work out well if they can keep building
Mm-hmm.
its type and uh, try to get in that area in which that they can, dole out another $200 million contract to a worthy player. Atlanta
Uh-oh.
must spend more money. And on the opposite end, we see what San Antonio wants to do. San Antonio will continue to operate and lose because they are so accustomed to building on the cheap side. And you
Mm.
just can't do that in the NBA. They don't want to pay Murray, and they know they will have to give a boatload of money. So they let him go. San Antonio wants somebody cheap for 5 years. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And you know what, E? I think that the Spurs, they what they're doing, they didn't want, as you stated, they don't want to pay Murray at this stage of his career because I think we all can agree Murray is not like the game changer. He's just he's a solid piece for what the Hawks are trying to do, but I don't think he's that game changing acquisition that now the Hawks go from here to there. It just it's just a building process. He's a building block, but I don't think the Spurs and what they're trying to do is want to stick around and pay Murray in a year or two. The big bucks that he's going to command, and the Spurs are not going to be going anywhere. So I think they won in doing that. And so, but before that, they also want this guy right here.
Recapping day 2 of the NBA's free agency in less than 60 seconds. Karl Anthony Towns and Devin
I oni stječu jedno značajno iskustvo i to neki od igrača imaju i značajnu minutažu poput Strazela u jednom Asvelu, kao i Rudy Demahis u Monaku.
Well, I'm glad you put our French class knowledge to use from back when we were there together. What is it? Wamta I can't say it correctly. Wamta Tambe or something. I assume that's who that was out there, right? The kid from France.
Yeah, Wabinyana.
Wabinyana.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who they really want, and they're going to try to, position themselves to be in there. And we know the bottom 4 picks have the same percentage nowadays, but they still want to be in the mix for that, and they rather take their chances on getting him versus, kind of treading water with Murray, if you will. So that's my thing on that. Anything on Murray before we move to the next player?
I'm gonna have to defer to y'all. I know he was a Spur, and I know he made the All-Star. He doesn't. I wasn't overly excited about it, but if it gets Young off the ball and gets the ball out of his hands more and gives Atlanta a more free flowing offense, that's good, and maybe that fixes things with Collins because I know there's been some friction between Young and him, and Young did have a 34% usage rate.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if you get that down to where Curry is around 30%, better for the organization. And I agree with Eric. The Spurs, they don't want to pay Murray. That's really what it is. They went in 35, 38 games, and they ain't trying to give him 30, 35 million. And as I said earlier, these players are underpaid, and I understand you got to operate in the salary cap, but you're gonna have to pay somebody at some point, and I guess maybe they trying to get somebody they think is worth it.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And here's a comment from Spivey. We have a couple more players we're going to talk about after this, but he's asking us, how do you feel about the job Rob Pelinka has done as a general manager in Los Angeles? Personally, he gives him an F. And Spivey is a Laker fan as well as myself. We've had some conversation off the air, and but you guys, I mean, what do y'all think about Rob Pelinka and the job he's done in Los Angeles? And thanks, Spivey, for your question.
Has Pelinka's just been in a bad situation, be it he was the wrong man at the wrong time for the wrong team and just don't know what with LeBron James, because he was Kobe's good friend. Again, the game is hard to play the game with old school people around sometimes, like Phil Jackson still in the ear of the owner. And then LeBron James. No, Jenny Buss has made it clear that she runs the team and LeBron doesn't have much to do with it. Not sure, but if he doesn't have an F, he's close to an F. So,
wow.
So really, I mean, the movement of players over the last few years, it just hasn't worked out. And it's the history of the Lakers. The history of the Lakers, it will put almost anybody in a bad position. I mean, whether you're trying to coach, what happened to Byron Scott? I mean, they were forced to still having to pay Kobe, because number one, they had the money and what he brings to the Lakers. But Byron Scott looked like a bad coach. I think, didn't Brown coach him? Former Cleveland coach,
Mike Brown.
Several coaches right there. Again, I go back to, was it just bad timing? Was it just because Kobe said, "Oh yeah, pick Pelinka. We good buddies." For whatever the reasons are, he hasn't done a good job.
Okay, what say you, Zach?
I'm gonna put less on him, and I'm kind of I don't blame kids for being bad kids. I'm gonna blame parents for being bad parents and allowing kids to be bad. Since Dr. Buss died, I don't feel like the Lakers have had much much structure, and that goes from kind of the top down to me. Pelinka might be part of it, but he ain't the biggest part of it. And he won a championship. They brought in Magic, and Magic tapped out. So I'm gonna put it on a lot of people. I'm not gonna they won a championship, so I'm not gonna give him an F. A championship has to count for something, and he brought in Anthony Davis, and I'm high on Anthony Davis.
Yes.
But if I'm not gonna give him the blame, I can't give him, I guess, all of that credit. Jeannie Buss needs to figure out what type of organization she gonna have, because I don't know what she learned from her dad, so I'm gonna put a lot of this on her and her brothers.
Okay, all right. Well, there you go, Spivey. That's the thoughts of Zach and E about Rob Pelinka and the Lakers. We definitely appreciate your comment. All right, next player, gentlemen. We got about 22 minutes on the clock, and we're going to talk about Malcolm Brogdon. The point guard is now he was traded from Indiana to Boston, and man, wow! I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you what I think real quick. I think this is an awesome signing. I mean, there was already rumblings about what Boston needed, and I think he's going to give them what they need. They needed that decision maker on the floor. I think it's going to ease things up for the wing players with Tatum and Brown, and it also allows Smart to just focus more on the defensive end. So I think it's a great fit. What do you guys think? And we'll start with Zach.
Well, I'll be quick. I'm gonna echo your thoughts. That way, Eric can give more of the good. You're guard. That way, you could give them more of you. But a good pickup, as you said, someone that can help facilitate the offense. Because and maybe you can give me your assessment of Marcus Smart, Eric. But it felt like their offense wasn't as fluid as it needed to be at times. So Brogdon should help with that. At least I hope he will.
I like Brogdon's experience. He's one of those guys that doesn't appear to. He's kind of quiet guy. He's a guy that seems like he can come in and probably fit into anybody's program with his game. That's what you like about him. Marcus Smart, Brogdon, and then I can't help but to mention Derek White, who played
good. Yeah.
pretty good. So when you talk about those guys, those three playing together, with White having playoff experience, of course, Marcus Smart, and then Brogdon in there, and the defense that these guys are going to have. Oh, my goodness. What hurt the Celtics more than anything else wasn't so much that they weren't ready to play. It's just they hadn't been there as that group on this level versus a team that had been there before. But Brogdon, not much more you can say. When you look at that Brogdon deal, you look at the Gallinari deal also, because you look at that backcourt, then you say Gallinari is underneath. Now Gallinari is going to bump and push. He fits into the cultural style of play of the Boston Celtics from yesterday.
Yes.
You still need those guys like Gallinari, outside shooting from Gallinari. Then he can take only 2 dribbles now and bump somebody on the basket.
He said only 2 dribbles.
Brogdon has proven to be a good shooter beyond the 15-foot range, but I just like everything about when you talk about the Brogdon deal, you talk about the Gallinari deal, and when you talk about that, you talk about teams improving, which it's more entertainment, more excitement, new faces in different places, and the skill that is required to play the kind of ball to communicate with the fans and the team in which way that it adds to camaraderie. It adds to building. It adds to the goodness of a team. Oh, yeah, Robert Williams. Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to be very helpful. Because when we saw the Celtics, don't want to go too far to the right here, but when we saw the Celtics, we saw Al Horford score maybe, 30 points in the first game, and we heard about the leprechaun, and this year was going to be that year. But that team of Jalen and Marcus and Tatum, they don't have the finals experience, and that's why they was just slapped 3 straight games by the Warriors in part.
Yeah. Excellent, man. And they look like they're about too deep now. Yeah, they look like they're about too deep now. They might be a strength in numbers thing going next year for them, and we'll see how it pans out.
Let's not forget about Grant Williams, who showed me a lot in these playoffs, man.
Yeah.
So Brogdon is a great added addition to a good, strong team already. It helps the Eastern Conference, look strong and be better.
Yeah.
And
Very
like
good.
Eric was saying, culture. Like the Celtics brought in guys that fit their culture.
That fit. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
About it's nothing like playing in a Boston Garden, though. And if you get the people this and your people, I want to say something right quick. Kendrick Perkins, tone it down. Tone it down, Kendrick.
We're gonna get into that on another show. We're gonna have you on for that. Yeah, we're going to have you in on that one too, because that'll be a one-topic show.
That's that bring back the old school in me. Boston, the Lakers, Milwaukee. Yeah.
I said Milwaukee.
Okay.
Yes. Hey.
Yeah.
With Alvin Robertson.
Al Robertson. Paul McKeskey.
Oh my goodness. Marvin.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. You got Terry Cummins.
Moncrief. I can't
forget the Arkansas
alum.
Start nothing right here. Don't you start another show.
Ricky Pierce. Brad Lohan.
Go ahead. I forgot about Ricky Pierce.
Yeah.
6-man, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. 6-man. Yeah, that was excellent. Man, you know what? Let's get back to what we're talking about here, gentlemen. Rudy Gobert across the bottom there. He's signed with the Timberwolves. And Mr. E, what you think about this acquisition here?
Rudy Gobert, Carl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards. Oh my goodness. Oh boy, that's a pretty nice core right there. Pretty nice core. Again, I think it adds to the growth, and I think Gobert will fit in nicely. We have Carl Anthony who likes to stay outside and shoots the long three. But what does Gobert do? Stay underneath the bucket. He'll get you a scrap 20 on any night. We know he's going to play defense. I really like that pickup for Minnesota. Again, adds to the excitement of the NBA, adds to the franchise. It's going to help Carl, going to help Anthony Edwards again on maybe some kickouts from Gobert. I really like that, but I don't have too much else to say for the Minnesota Timberwolves other than Gobert, Anthony Towns, and Edwards.
Yeah, I like the front line.
Yeah,
I like the front line. What about you, Zach?
I like what Eric said when he said scrap 20. And he really don't. And he said it without saying it. Carl Anthony Towns is one of the softest dudes out there to be the size he is. And I think that's where you were going with it. You just didn't want it, but he's marshmallowish. It is what it is. And when they signed him to that big contract extension, the first thing I said, and y'all excuse the language, I was like, what the fuck are they doing? They go be at the bottom because he's soft, like you were going with. And then I saw this trade, and I absolutely love it because now he can be a stretch four, he can be soft, and you have a quote unquote meat and potato guy in Gobert. And like you said, you ain't got to run plays for Gobert. When he's sitting out there launching threes or however they doing it, Gobert should be around the basket to get you offensive rebound. He's going to help him on the defensive end where Towns now doesn't have to be, I guess, that physical. He can kind of just fit into his role. And I don't care what they gave up for him. They gave up 4 first-round picks, gave up the players they gave up. I got to think outside of Golden State, they're in any conversation, at least in my mind, for the second best team. And I know I talked about trading Durant for Everett. If I'm Minnesota, I wouldn't do it. Like, absolutely not. They have a good future now, and I didn't feel that way when they signed Edwards. I'm sorry, not Edwards, but Towns, that big contract. So good move by them.
Yeah, excellent, man. I mean, there's nothing else for me to say about it. I just look forward to seeing how it go this season. And if Edwards continues to develop and become like, AKA the next, Dominique Wilkins type, if he can just be that, I mean, to go along with the size on that front line.
If he can be Dominique Wilkins, yes, you are absolutely correct. They'll be pretty good if he can be Dominique.
Hey, he's got a skill set and he's got the size. So we'll see what he does. Yeah, but man, you think that's something? What about Jalen Brunson signing this humongous contract?
I'll let y'all take that one.
Jalen Brunson going to the New York. You know what? I think a lot of people don't understand that Jalen Brunson. What was he? A high school All-American? I remember hearing about that guy. He's been improving every year. I think he's going to do well in New York, but obviously we think, most people that go there have an opportunity because they've been so downhill for so many years. But you look at Jalen Brunson, his pedigree as an individual himself, right? High school All-American, played very well at Villanova. We know what he's done, what he did this past season, which has enabled him to get this contract. He wanted to, be able to do a little bit more. The guy kept quiet, didn't argue so much about playing with a superstar that takes up the ball most of the time. Now he gets an opportunity. He gets an opportunity to go to New York and try to make things happen. I think he's tough-skinned enough to take on that New York crowd. I think he's going to do well for whatever is worth. The important thing to me about Brunson is he's a winner. He's hard-nosed. He's tough. He's crafty underneath the buckets, finishing up. Proven winner. Played good basketball at Villanova, high school, All-American. He deserved his contract. He's earned it. What better way to put your talents on display than in the Garden?
All right. Well, we got 10 minutes left, and we're going to talk about what we think the best acquisition is and the favorite acquisition. But before we leave Brunson, I'll leave you guys with this. The Knicks' offensive rating was 23rd in the NBA last year. Their three-point frequency was 7th, and their three-point percentage was 13th. So, middle of the pack on the threes. Brunson's not going to help with that because he's not a good three-point shooter. And then they have a lot of other ISO guys on the team. So I'm curious to see how Brunson will he be able to orchestrate, conduct this lineup. Because if you think about it, you're going to have 3 left-handers too, with Randall, with Brunson, and with Barrett, and with Barrett. I mean, you got 3 left-handers. The team can shade this team a certain way. And then all those guys were playing ISO ball last year. So I'm really curious to see how this pans out. They decide to spend a lot of money on Brunson. And as you said, he is crafty, but I don't know if he's a top tier point guard, if you will. But we'll see how that pans out, guys.
Hey,
what's the best? Go ahead, Zach. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just add 2 things first? I love how Mr. Eric tells you stuff without saying stuff. As he said, playing with a
he's
ball
good at
dominant, like a ball dominant guy. Like if you ain't listening, you'll miss it. So I like that. He said Brunson played with a ball dominant guy, which lets me know that maybe he has an opinion about Luka. And I'll just add this about Brunson. I think a high character guy, which for the Knicks right now is good for them to get.
Yeah, definitely that. Yeah, and his dad's on the coaching staff, Rick Brunson. So that this all is tying together. I think his agent or former agent is in the front office with the Knicks. So all arrows point to that, and we'll see. The Knicks are doing what they need to, what they feel like they need to do. But guys, with 8 minutes on the clock, what's your favorite? What was the best acquisition so far in the free agency / trade period so far?
That's kind of hard
Your
to
best
say. I'm actually still waiting for it. This stuff isn't through yet, and it's not done until Kyrie and Durant. And that one deal right there to somebody could be a game changer that can throw somebody straight into the finals. You heard what I said, the finals. Now I didn't say the playoffs.
Yes.
This could launch a team right into the playoffs. So I all boards well right now from what I see. Teams improving, but I really don't know. I really like on paper Anthony Towns and Gobert. Up and coming team, but I really don't. I like the fact that the Warriors signed Kevin Looney. Got the big man back into. I like Zach LaVine. There's going to be there. Don't know what's going to finish happening in Chicago. They got some players getting back healthy and be able to play. But that Kevin Durant and Irving deal. Wherever they go, and if they get to have their way, and these guys like Irving and Durant tend to have their way, doesn't necessarily mean that their way is going to be the winning way. But if that does happen, if it happens next week, we'll be saying, "Oh yeah, man, that's the best deal that went down. That worked over here. Yeah, who would have ever thought they would pull this off?" And again, entertainment, money, fun, having their way, teams doing things now that they've never done, sort of mimics the way our culture is. Things that's happening that's never happened. So I don't know. The jury's still out on what was the best deal. so far. Maybe one of those G League guys that's going to blossom into somebody 40 points a game that can shoot like Curry.
Well, we'll have to find out. I think the best acquisition for me so far is Brogdon to Boston. Man, followed closely by Rudy Gobert to Minnesota. But what about you, Zach?
Gobert, as I said, Towns, and you just saw, what was it? Didn't he have an 8-point game or something last year in the playoff?
Yeah.
Just a terribly soft guy. He needs a Gobert. Like, if you invest in that much money in Towns, that Brogdon will help the Celtics, but Towns is once again, I like where Eric is going, where he was talking about Kyrie and Durant's personality. Though I will say Durant tries to fit into culture. He doesn't really create waves, but your superstar to a degree will dictate the way your franchise goes. And if Towns is your best player, it is like, and I don't think he's a bad guy or anything. I like that his dad was at the games and everything, but and all three of us are older. It's a certain mentality that I think you need to have when a guy is kind of leading you, which is and I'm not going to say about Durant, but we'll just say Durant is lacking. So that's why I'll go with the Gobert, that he at least helps Towns be a better version of himself.
All right. 3 minutes to go. One word, one player. Favorite acquisition?
To be determined. I'm like Eric. We'll see what happens in the future. To be determined.
We'll see. I think it'll happen in the next 2 weeks. I think in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. But hey, listen, what sense does this make? What I'm getting ready to say. Brooklyn signed Nick Claxton to a 2-year, $20 million deal.
Yay, Georgia guy.
I think that's how we got to kind of look at this. Because what we're going to see, though, we're going to see a better brand of basketball this year, too. It keeps getting better. Getting better. But guess what? Nobody can shoot the ball like the Warriors. Klay Thompson, Kyrie, Poole. And then they have the mad dog, Dennis Rodman from the 90s, who could somehow still get you 12 points, 12 rebounds, and 8 assists, run his mouth, and he will speak a player into just fouling out or fumbling the ball, or psychologically he rips people apart. Until you can find somebody that can shoot the ball like Curry, somebody that can defend even like a broke leg Klay, and defend like Green, and dominate a game, just scoring 8 to 10 points, but the intangible other things that he does. Opportunity for the next 5 years if those guys can stay healthier with Poole.
But I'm gonna say my favorite acquisition before we close out of here. We got a minute to go. I'm gonna go with again, I'm gonna go back with Brogdon in Boston. I think that's right now my favorite acquisition. As we talked about it puts everybody in the proper position across the board there. So, but that's what it is so far. There's still more to go, and we'll get to that. E, I definitely appreciate you being on.
Yes, sir.
We definitely appreciate you being on.
I love the little secret comments that you say about the folks without actually really saying it. And look, you give us good basketball speak. I like that.
You're good.
Yeah, very good.
You're a great American for several reasons.
Well, thank you.
Before the flag is over your head.
That's right.
Thank you.
All right.
Both of you.
Yes, sir. We definitely thank you, Zach and I, Sports Brothers, and for Zach and for E. I'm Mr. 411. Everybody enjoy their
and
weekend.
Mr. Spivey.
And Mr. Spivey. Yes, right. That's right.
Thank you
for being on here too. All right. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you, man.
Enjoy the weekend.
You
All
too.
right.
Great America.
Thank you.
Signing out.